relationships and how to have a better relationship. Well, last week in relationships, we talked about what is the purpose of a relationship and why do we have a relationship. And we came to a conclusion through God's Word that the purpose of having a relationship is multiplying this earth to build God's kingdom. And now we need to know on how to have a better relationship as well. And the book that we were using, 14 Secrets to a Better Relationship, all the examples that Dr. Earl gave came from the book. And again, the book is called 14 Secrets to a Better Relationship. Secret number one to a better relationship is value relationships and admit how desperately we need them. Key word is admit. So that is secret number one. When you don't admit that you have a problem, then you will not find a solution to fix your problem. So key word is admit. Now, the passage to help us understand it is found in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 12. And Tiffany can read verses 9 through 10, and Jared can read verses 11 through 12. That would be greatly appreciated.
Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their efforts. For if either falls, his companion can lift him up. But pity the one who falls without another to lift him up.
Again, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, two can withstand him. And threefold cord is not quickly broken.
Okay. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 is a great passage to help us understand why we need to admit that we need relationships. The first example is found in verse 9 that Tiffany read. Relationships aid accomplishment. Relationships aid accomplishment. In this world, we cannot individually accomplish anything if you think about it, because we are dependent in nature. Even people that claim, hey, I'm proud to be independent, yet they're still dependent upon the man to provide them the resources that he needs to accomplish. And again, I'll read the verse 9. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. Second thing found in verse 10 that Tiffany also read. Relationships enhance encouragement. In verse 10, for if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. When I read that verse, the thing that comes to mind is a movie scene called Maverick. How many have you guys seen the movie called Maverick?
I think I might have seen it, but it's a long time. I'm not sure if I remember it.
Okay. The movie Maverick is based upon a TV show starred by James Garner. And they did a remake of it, I'd say in the late 80s or early 90s, and it had Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson played the role of Maverick, who was a car gambler. And there was a scene in the movie to where they were driving the stagecoach, and the stage driver was well over, he was old as dirt. And you can tell in the movie that he's going to die. And he happens to die while he's driving the stagecoach. And the stagecoach keeps on going, and Mel Gibson somehow has to go on top, slows the carriage down. Yet he slows the carriage down, yet the force ends up overthrowing him, and he ends up almost falling over to a cliff. And he's hanging over to a cliff. And the only way he could get out of the cliff, he needed help. And at first, his character is very cocky, very individualistic, like he doesn't want any help or anything. And then all of a sudden, he's like, hey, I need help. Well, the character that was right with it was James Garner. He plays Mel Gibson, and we find out later on that he's his father. Well, he kind of finally helps pulls his son up. And as he pulls his son up, his son kind of gets upset. All right, get away from me. He kind of pulls his gun. And that kind of gives us an idea on the importance of someone else helping us along in life. Sometimes we need that extra, we need someone to pull us up. And you don't necessarily have to help someone from a cliff. Well, if you're good at it, you do it, but a good way to help someone is through encouragement. And that's why we need to come to church and we need to be around with fellow believers that are truly passionate about Christ, because we need encouragement. Relationship enhances encouragement. Third thing, relationship supplies the necessary heat. And this does not just talk about just physically, but encouragement also provides that warmth that we need spiritually. The fourth thing about relationships. Relationships provide powerful protection and resilience. Number two of a better relationship is accept others as Jesus has accepted you. Jesus was a master of acceptance. The key word is accept. So we go from admitting that we need a relationship to accepting others. Learn to accept others. Now, in the Gospels, there are great examples of how Jesus accepted others. Example number one, found in Matthew chapter 9, verses 9 through 13. Jesus associated with sinners in passages. Jesus associated with sinners in passages. Second example. Jesus lived with open arms. I mean, Jesus lived with open arms in passage of Luke chapter 15, verses 1 through 2. And there are other examples in the gospel that we see Jesus receive people with open arms. I mean, I can't remember an example where when people came to Jesus, that Jesus closed his arms, you know. And Jesus always had his arms open to receive people. And he wants us to be the same example that we need to follow, the example that Christ set when it came to the adulterous woman. The law and the education at the time tried to set Jesus up to break the law. But Jesus, being God, all-knowing, he was many steps ahead of them, to where he turned on them. It's very, very brilliant how he did it, you know. The law and the education, they brought this adulterous woman, and they wanted Jesus stoned, not because for the sake of carrying out the Levitical law, but so Jesus could break the Roman law. Because the Roman law states that the only way the Jews could execute anyone is they had to get the approval of the Romans. And if Jesus did not have the approval of the Romans, and he did stone the woman, you know, he would be in big trouble. However, if Jesus did not carry out the Levitical law, he would break the Jewish law. So they tried to catch Jesus like a cat catching a mouse and trap him. Well, Jesus being one step ahead. You all know the story. Jesus got down, draw the line, and said, all right, those who are without sin, you can throw the first stones. And how many of them were able to throw stones? None. And in fact, the way they left, they kind of left one by one, slowly, you know. So that means they knew that they could not throw their stones. And if there was anybody that could have thrown stones, like it would have been Jesus, because he was perfect. He had the right to do it. But he did not do it. And his response was he did not cast the first stone. In fact, he gave the woman forgiveness. You know, he gave her mercy and grace. And that's part of learning to accept people of who they are.